Around the world, lawyers often need to explain government institutions in English. You may have to describe where laws are made, where cases are decided, or where documents are issued. In today's lesson, you will learn the key vocabulary for ministries, courts, and public offices, and practice the present simple passive to describe what they do in clear English. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to name the main government institutions, ministries, courts, and public offices. Use the present simple passive to describe their roles. For example, laws are made in Congress. Cases are decided in the courts. Documents are issued in the public office. And apply simple phrases to explain government institutions to English-speaking clients or colleagues. Imagine this. You are in a meeting with English-speaking colleagues. Someone asks, "Where are laws made in your country? Where are cases decided? Where are documents issued?" You answer in clear English. Laws are made in Congress. Cases are decided in the courts. Documents are issued in public offices. This story shows how today's vocabulary and grammar help you explain the structure of government institutions in simple English. A ministry is a government department in charge of a specific area, such as health, finance, or justice. For example, the Ministry of Justice is responsible for the legal system. Now imagine you are explaining how government works. You say the Ministry of Health manages hospitals and vaccination programs. The Ministry of Finance collects taxes. The Ministry of Justice supervises courts and prisons. This word is very important for legal English because many laws and policies are created and enforced by ministries. Court is the official place where disputes are resolved. Judges hear cases and make decisions. For example, cases are decided in the court. Imagine someone asks, "Where is this case decided?" You answer, "This case is decided in court." You can add, "Criminal cases are decided in criminal courts. Family cases are decided in family courts. And important national cases are decided in the Supreme Court or the Constitutional Court." The word court is one of the most basic terms in legal English, and you will use it often. A public office is where citizens go to get official documents and services. For example, documents are issued in public offices. Imagine a person needs a driver's license. You explain, licenses are issued in a public office. Or someone needs a property certificate. You could say, titles are registered in the property office, which is a public office. This phrase covers many offices, so it is a very flexible word in legal English. Congress or Parliament is the institution where laws are created and approved. The word varies by country, but the function is the same. For example, laws are made in Congress. Someone asks you, "Who makes the laws in your country?" You answer, "Laws are made in Congress. Members discuss, debate, and vote on new laws." This vocabulary is very important in conversations because clients and colleagues often want to know where legal authority comes from. The tax office is the government institution that manages taxes from people and businesses. For example, taxes are collected in the tax office. Let's take a look at an example. A foreign company wants to do business. You explain, taxes are collected in the tax office. Declarations are filed there, and payments are made there too. This is an essential word when talking about compliance, accounting, and business law. The public prosecutor is the lawyer who represents the state in criminal cases. For example, crimes are prosecuted by the public prosecutor. Imagine someone asks, "Who brings the case in a murder trial?" You answer, "The public prosecutor brings the case." Now, the prosecutor represents the state, not the victim personally. This word is key in explaining how criminal justice works in countries. An ombudsman is an independent official who checks complaints about government services and protects citizens' rights. For example, complaints are reviewed by the ombudsman. Imagine a person feels the tax office treated them unfairly. They take the complaint to the ombudsman. The ombudsman reviews the case and may recommend a solution. This word is used globally and shows how governments, in theory, promote fairness and accountability. The civil registry records important life events, certificates of birth, marriage, and death. For example, birth certificates are issued in the civil registry. Imagine a lawyer explains inheritance. They say death certificates are issued in the civil registry. This document is needed to start probate. This vocabulary is especially important for family law, inheritance, and immigration matters. The property registry is where ownership of land, houses, and apartments is officially recorded. For example, property titles are registered in the property registry. Let's look at an example. A buyer wants to purchase a house. You explain the title is registered in the property registry. Ownership is confirmed there. This office is essential for real estate, inheritance, and business transactions. The present simple passive is used when the focus is on the action, not on the person. The form is simple: am, is, or are, plus the past participle. For example, laws are made in Congress. We focus on the laws, not on the lawmakers. Cases are decided in the courts. We focus on the cases, not on the judges. Documents are issued in public offices. We focus on the documents, not on the employees. This grammar is very useful in legal English because we often describe institutions and what happens there without naming the individual people. Now, let's practice the passive with singular subjects using am or is. The Ministry of Justice is managed by the government. The ministry is one department, so we use is. The Supreme Court is located in the capital city. Again, one institution, so we use is. I am registered as a lawyer in the public registry. Here, the subject is I, so we use am. Remember, am is used only with I. I am registered. Is used with singular nouns. The office is located. The law is enforced. Are is used with plurals. Cases are decided. Taxes are collected. This makes it clear. The auxiliary verb changes with the subject, but the pattern is always the same. Am, is, are, plus the past participle. Let's look at more examples of how the present simple passive works with today's vocabulary. Taxes are collected in the tax office. We do not say who collects them because the office is more important than the person. Complaints are reviewed by the ombudsman. This focuses on the process, not on the name of the official. Crimes are prosecuted by the public prosecutor. Again, action is the focus, not the individual. Property titles are registered in the property registry. The registry is what matters, not the clerk who does the paperwork. This structure allows you to describe institutions in professional, neutral English, perfect for communication. Judicial independence means that judges and courts make decisions without pressure from politicians or outside groups. For example, judicial independence is protected by the Constitution. Let's imagine a powerful politician is accused of corruption. The court must decide fairly without political pressure. If the court can act freely, that shows judicial independence. This phrase is important when explaining why courts must be neutral. Justice is only fair when judges are independent. An administrative procedure is the step-by-step process followed in a government office. For example, applications are reviewed through an administrative procedure. Imagine a citizen applies for a business license. First, the application is received. Then, documents are checked. Finally, approval is issued. This order of steps is the administrative procedure. In legal English, this phrase is helpful to explain why some processes take time. Permits are granted after an administrative procedure. It shows that the decision comes after a formal process, not just an individual choice. A legal framework means the complete system of laws and rules in a country. It includes the Constitution, codes, statutes, and regulations. For example, the legal framework is established by Congress. Imagine a company asks, "What laws control labor in this country?" You answer, "The labor code and related laws are part of the legal framework." This phrase is important when explaining that one law is not enough. There is a whole structure of laws that work together as the legal framework. Public administration is the way government organizes its offices and staff to provide services to people. For example, public administration is organized into ministries and offices. Let's imagine someone asks, "How is government organized?" You explain, "Public administration is divided into ministries such as health and finance, and public offices like the civil registry and property registry." This phrase is useful because it describes the entire government structure that carries out laws and delivers services. Separation of powers is the idea that government is divided into three parts: legislative, executive, and judicial. For example, separation of powers is important for democracy. Imagine someone asks, "Why does Congress make laws? The president enforce them, and courts decide cases." You explain this is separation of powers. Each branch has its own role, so no one part has too much control. This phrase is key in constitutional law and helps you explain the structure of democratic systems in simple English. Constitutional review is the process where courts check if a law follows the Constitution. If the law conflicts, it may be canceled. For example, new laws are checked through constitutional review. Let's look at an example. Congress passes a new tax law. Some citizens believe it violates the Constitution. The case goes to the Constitutional Court. The court decides, this law is valid or this law is unconstitutional. This phrase is important because it shows how constitutions protect rights and control the power of government. Let's bring everything together in one story. You are in a professional discussion about government institutions. Someone asks, "How is your legal system organized?" You explain step by step in clear English, "Laws are made in Congress." This shows the role of the legislature. Courts are managed by the Ministry of Justice. that connects ministries to the judicial system. Birth certificates are issued in the civil registry, and property titles are issued in the property registry. This explains how public offices keep official records. Taxes are collected in the tax office, and crimes are prosecuted by the public prosecutor. This shows how state institutions apply the law. Complaints are reviewed by the ombudsman. This highlights accountability. New laws are checked through constitutional review, and judicial independence is protected by the Constitution. This shows how the system maintains balance. Finally, you summarize. Public administration is organized into ministries and offices. Separation of powers is important. Each branch of government has its own role, and services are delivered through administrative procedures. This story uses today's vocabulary: ministries, courts, registries, public offices, today's grammar, present simple passive, and today's legal phrases: legal framework, separation of powers, constitutional review, judicial independence, administrative procedure, public administration. By using simple, clear English, you can explain government institutions in a professional way to colleagues and clients anywhere in the world. Let's review what you learned in this lesson. First, you study vocabulary for the main government institutions: ministry, court, public office, Congress, tax office, public prosecutor, ombudsman, civil registry, and property registry. Second, you practice grammar with the present simple passive. You can now say, laws are made in Congress, cases are decided in the courts, documents are issued in public offices. This structure is simple, clear, and professional. Third, you learned important legal phrases: administrative procedure, legal framework, public administration, separation of powers, constitutional review, and judicial independence. These phrases allow you to explain not just institutions, but also the principles and processes behind them. And finally, you used a wrap-up story to bring it all together. You showed how to explain government institutions step by step in clear English to colleagues and clients. By combining vocabulary, grammar, and legal phrases, you can now describe legal systems and offices in simple, accurate, and professional English. Explaining government institutions in English is a key skill for lawyers and legal professionals. In our legal English community, you get full access to all levels: beginner, intermediate, and advanced, plus live sessions and a private forum where you can practice with other lawyers. If you want to continue building your legal English step by step, click the link in the description and join us today.